Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Talking Iowa Hawkeye Sports. Um, Feel free to leave your comments, questions. I have the right to filter them if I don't think they're appropriate for the coach. Um, we just want to thank everybody for being here. As you can see, we got Stacy May Johnson, the head softball coach at the University of Iowa, and we're excited to have her on there. Right above her, you people will see Terry Walker, who set this interview up. He's part of the Villains Network and the Golden Broom podcast, where they cover all college baseball. And right under me, you've got Jason Hackwell. Most of you know him as coach, and he's here. And you guys know that he's used to be a regular on this show, and we don't know if he's ever going to be a regular again, but he's back for a special guest appearance. So, welcome, Jason. Welcome, Terry, and Coach. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just you got quite a career. You're currently the University of Iowa head softball coach in your first season. You guys just finished it. You finished one game or one place. I'm not sure how that works out of the playoffs. So you guys came really close. But yeah, I mean, I got one question for you though. It says that you were drafted and went pros to the Chicago Bandits, but Wikipedia says that you're still playing for the Chicago Bandits. Is that true?
Well, I guess that means Wikipedia hasn't been updated in a while. No, I haven't played in a few years. That ship has sailed.
Okay. I just had to ask. I mean, because I kind of thought that was a mistake. So, but yeah, your career is so long and lengthy. But the one thing that you were at Fresno State for a couple of seasons. I just want you to know that I live in California, about 2 hours south on Highway 99 from Fresno State. And then I don't know if you guys ever came and played Cal State Bakersfield or not when you were playing softball. Drove down or they drove up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's the closest school. Somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours. It was close. So we played them once or twice a year, every year. You got to play the schools within your vicinity. So yeah. I'm pretty familiar with that area. I'm pretty familiar with the whole Central Valley. I was there for 4 years, and that's a job where you're going to recruit, obviously, your home state very heavily, which you do here too. But, especially a state school in California. I mean, what's the point of going anywhere else?
Right. And I think I don't know how many people you actually recruited out of Bakersfield. I know this is a Hawkeye show, but because I live in Bakersfield and very fond of the CSUB program, I don't know how many players from Bakersfield that you actually recruited in the softball ranks down here, but
off the top of my head, I don't know that we had anybody out of Bakersfield proper, but I mean, in my head, and I don't know if this is not cool to say, but this is how it worked in my head. If you're from the Central Valley, you're from the Central Valley, Bakersfield, Fresno, Clovis, Livermore, doesn't matter. Central Valley, it's all the same folks from the same type of, same type of culture, right? Bakersfield culture, I think is similar to Clovis, Fresno. So anybody from the Central Valley kind of fits a pretty similar mold in where they were raised and the type of ball they play. So don't know if anybody out of Bakersfield proper though.
Okay. And that just brings me to I was just kind of segueing into your recruiting out of Iowa. And I believe you have like 7 players on your roster. I don't know how many of those were seniors, so you may have lost a couple after the season ended. I'm just curious, I mean, how the recruiting in the state is going for you right now for the next season.
Well, it's going well. I think the biggest thing that's happened, and we've been very public about this, and I think that we've been visible at the high school games, but we're public about the fact that we are going to recruit the state. And I think, and that's where we start. That's our starting point. And we'll go out from there. We'll start in the state of Iowa. We'll go to the Midwest and then beyond. But this is where we start. And so if we're able to find the athletes that are, fitting what we're looking for in that particular class right here, then that's who's coming if they say yes. But, I think that with that, there's come a narrative across this state. And I think that word has gotten around that The Hawkeyes are going to be at the high school games. The Hawkeyes are going to be out in the club scene watching the homegrown athletes. And so when that starts to get around, people start to get excited. And, part of that is who's showing up to our camps. I think all of a sudden there's a real interest from in-state athletes to come to our prospect camps and to have us watch them. And, we're out at a high school game. We've been at several high school games this week. High school ball opened up. And so we're getting kind of a flurry of emails from the athletes that were at their games. And, hey, thanks for coming to our game. And we appreciate it. So, it's getting around and the talent is here, and very, very athletic, very athletic. When you talk about these 2, 3, 4 sport athletes, they're typically very, very good athletes. And so if we can get that level of athleticism on our campus in our door, and we know we're going to be able to be successful, and it's going to play in the Big Ten. So, I'd say it's going well. We've got a lot of work to do, and the recruiting piece is just the first step, because we still have the development piece, and then we got to put it all onto the field to make it win. But we're trending well there.
Okay.
I have a quick
next question I have. Okay, go ahead, Terry. Sorry.
Now, this is kind of in regards to recruiting, like he was saying. I know, with baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be, you'll occasionally see somebody come in from overseas. Does the same apply to women's softball as far as getting overseas players as well?
Not a ton. I'm not saying never, but definitely not a ton. There's a flux of, I would say, Canadians that play in the States that are easy to. First you have to watch them somewhere, and I don't know, where to watch an athlete from the Netherlands. They'll send me some video or something, but I can't get there, and they're not here, and I'm like, hey, we have so much talent in the States that I don't feel like that's something we need to do. I'm not saying that there wouldn't be an exception at times, but I just think accessibility is an issue. When I can go watch, somebody from Cedar Rapids or Ankeny or whatever, I can go watch them 8 times. I don't know, whatever it is, 7 times, whatever the rule is. And it's like you just get so many more, views and touches on those athletes versus somebody overseas. It just that doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Get in touch with Tatiana Roman and ask her about Puerto Rico.
There you go.
She's actually one of my favorite players. And, obviously you probably know she graduated last year, but yeah, the great Puerto Rican, she can get you involved there.
Yeah, no, and that's it. Is again, I mentioned the Canadians, but there's definitely some Central American athletes that are in the States playing, and so that's where I think the thing is they have to come here because we're not flying to Australia or
Right.
New Zealand or whatever to recruit. We're not doing that with too much talent here. We're just not going to do that. So, but when those Central American athletes come here and the Canadians come here, and that's where I think that the internationals become a bit more viable. We haven't done a ton of it, but we've had a few.
Okay. Hey, so I just wanted to ask real quick on that NIL. Do you guys get any NIL money?
Bye, Terry.
Bye, Terry. Sorry, I didn't realize he was leaving. Do you get any NIL money for like the transfer portal or anything like that? I mean, I was just kind of curious, if you're going to go into the transfer portal and this year and what your needs are out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, well, I mean, pitching, always pitching. And then I think one of the other targets out of the portal is we had somewhere between 8 and 9 right-handed hitters in our lineup this year, and we can't have that. Not for the foreseeable future. It's going to take a while to balance it out. The right-handed hitters are good, and we can't sacrifice our best hitters just for style. But at some point, we've got to just balance out our roster and get some more lefties and some righties in the mix so that the lineup ends up being the same. And so that's the first and easiest target in terms of position players. And then I think, anybody that can steal a base, anybody that can hit a home run, anybody that can play high level defense, I think those would be really, really impactful for the team this upcoming year, because as you mentioned, we were very close to making the playoffs, but we didn't. And so, it's not like we're miles away. We're just a play here, a pitch there. I mean, really, it was that close. And so, anybody that can add a little bit here or there probably does get us over that hump. Regarding NIL, I mean, there's a few small deals on the team. I know some of our athletes have a few smaller things going on. A lot of them have been able to secure some of those deals, not through me, just through a local business or what have you. So, but I know there's a few floating around. I couldn't tell you the whole deal, but there's some floating around, and I think that softball is starting to enter that space. Has the thing fully fleshed out yet? No. Are we still trying to figure out the rules and how this is all going to look? Yeah. And it's still piecing together. And I think you can talk to any coach in any sport and you'd probably get the same answer of, hey, things are just changing really, really fast now. The way I see it is, hey, let's figure out these rules. Tell me what they are and when we're going to go.
Okay. Jason, I'm going to refer to you for a little bit.
Yeah. Let me piggyback off of that one, because this is actually one that the fans really the people I talk to are really into this one. So I'm going to ask it. I don't know how much you could talk about, but how do you feel about high school players, the transfers? Like, are you wanting to recruit high school players? Or are you going to want to try to build around transfers to help you right away, like with your left-handed hitters?
Well, we have to have both. We do. We have to have both. I think that there's going to be a percentage of our roster that is going to be more than likely homegrown, developed in-house, and end up being really, really good ball players by the time they're sophomores, juniors, seniors. And there's a recipe for that, and it does start with our high school athletes. It's certainly no secret that you can get somebody that has a full collegiate season of at-bats or pitches or whatever under their belts, or 2 or even 3. It's no secret that you can get somebody that's a little bit more plug and play, and that's going to be part of the recipe too. And I think that softball's no exception. I think every sport on this campus, I know there's a couple that actually don't have many transfers in general, but those sports aside, your successful recipe involves both. It involves really good high school recruiting, and it involves really good transfer portal recruiting. How does that divvy up? Is it 80-20? Is it 50-50? That's something that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I think that with all of the changes, I think the transfer portal is changing. I think more and more athletes are going into the transfer portal. I think that's something that we would be monitoring from year to year of, if we lose our top athletes, often, well, we have to account for that. And it's going to change, the number of transfers we bring in. If we're able to retain our top year in and year out, then I think it lends for a model that's developed out of high school a little bit more. So I think there's some moving pieces in this, and we need to really get probably a couple of seasons in and evaluate those questions. And then I could probably give you a more firm answer on what the breakdown would be. But right now we're in portal season. And so we're looking for athletes that can impact our program, make us better. We've got a really, really good base, what's here already. But we're certainly always looking for ways to get better.
And to piggyback off of that one, like with what you said, as a coach, now as a fan, this drives us crazy. Because, like, Sujin Berry, right? Your left-handed hitter. She hits 2 home runs. She had like 4 RBIs in the game. They beat UCLA last year, and now she's at UCLA. And then she's not doing anything close to what she did at Iowa, right? She was a star at Iowa. And then but she did go back home, so I'll give her that. But then, I honestly wanted to keep the former coach. I'm grateful that you're here, but for this purpose, as a fan, I'm like, we're going to lose Jalen Adams. Like, that's the kind of stuff that fans think about. She went to Arizona, and then Talia Tretton, she went to Nevada. Like, you lost a lot off last year's team that were stars on that team. to just come in because you're the new coach, and then you have to start completely over on a lot of that. So a lot of your talent left just because of that. So do you ever does it cross your mind when you have a player like Jin who just balls out against a great team who could probably pull oh hey, I know you're playing for Iowa. It's I don't know how much you can actually talk about. This is just what the fans want me to ask you, because the Sue Jin one really did bother me, because she was your left-handed beast, home run hitter. Then she goes to UCLA and then she doesn't get the opportunities. But do you think about that? I know it was a lot, but do you think about stuff like that?
Well, I think what everybody's got to understand is that this is the landscape, and I'm just not one to complain about what I signed up for this. I know what this is. And I know that those things, that's what happens in coaching changes. It's not just this program. It's not just this sport. It's every program, every sport. When the coaches change, the talent flees. That's what happens. This was no surprise. Obviously, we try to retain as much as possible, but it didn't happen. Again, I signed up for this. And it's also not the first time I've done it. I've taken over 3 programs. And so none of this is anything other than what I expected. I know everybody's kind of looking like, well, shoot, if we had this or that or the other thing,
right.
I really don't. I don't think twice. Because that's not my job. I'm tasked to rebuild this program and to get it back to the top. And when we get there, give us a couple of years, we're going to be competing with anybody. And I just don't. I rightfully so. Like the fans that have been following for years, I get it. But for me, foundationally, I just want a firmer foundation. I want a firm foundation that we build everything upon. That isn't going to just fall apart, from one year to the next. So we're on our way to doing that. We're excited about it. And if I don't like the portal and I don't like the rules, then I need to find a different job because that's what we're tasked with right now.
A great answer, Coach. That's what the fans. We get crazy. We're fanatics, right? We just get crazy. We're like, oh man, no. But
no, I get it. I'm a coach in softball, but I think I'm probably just a fan in every other sport. So I'm with you guys. I've got basketball, women's basketball tickets. So, and I go to almost all the games and I'm a fan. I watch football. I'm a fan. I watch a lot of field hockey. I'm a fan. So I get it. I'm with you guys. I understand what it's like to sit in those shoes.
Right. So to go into the coaching part, what I noticed this year and the different style, what makes you, it seems like you were using or switching out pitchers more often than our previous coach. But also they had Jalen Adams. I don't know if that was a big deal. No, she pitched over 200 innings last year. But do you feel like that you would use 4 pitchers? What? If they get into trouble, will you take them out? What's your philosophy on the pitching part? Because I felt like you changed pitchers quite a bit more than what I was used to anyway.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is yes, we will use more pitchers. So there's a caveat, of course, that it's always personnel based. And I think in fairness with the Jalen Adams, Trenton situation, there weren't a lot of reliable relief options beyond that. And Jalen was pretty dominant. And so in that situation, I don't know that I would have managed that one any differently just because that was the personnel. The principles we rely on, I know everybody's kind of freaking out about softball making pitching changes. Listen to me. Baseball's been doing it for 50 years and nobody says a word. We're relying on the exact same principles. And the thing is that they're new concepts in softball, but they're not new concept in batted ball sport. We understand the concept. A pitcher's opponent batting average is going to be, this is just random. And for example, a pitcher's opponent batting average first time through the lineup is 250. Opponent batting average second time they face that lineup is 270. Opponent batting average third time they face that lineup is 300. Okay, this is common and it's true to almost every single pitcher in the country. They are statistically worse each time they face a trip through the lineup. It makes sense. The batters figure out how to hit them and they make adjustments, right?
Right.
And so we leverage that. Now, of course, it's an interesting topic when you have a pitcher that's so dominant that perhaps her third trip through the lineup is better than somebody else's first trip through the lineup. And that's something that we look at, obviously. But with this team, I don't know that that was true for the most part. We struggled at times to have quality relief. A couple of pitchers throw a few too many balls, and so that was always a concern. And that was probably why Soraya Nice got left on the mound longer than what I would have liked coming down the stretch. If we could have gotten better, more quality relief, I probably would have taken her out a little bit more and leveraged those matchups and those pitching changes a little bit better. But I just didn't feel comfortable doing it because the relief coming in wasn't always good. So my answer, that's a long answer, but my answer is we run a baseball style bullpen. That's not changing. If we have a pitcher that we leave out there for a long time, there is a very well thought out and understood reason why, and I'm going to be able to verify it with some data, not just my opinion. So if anybody has any problem with the pitching changes, then I want Rick Heller, my good friend Rick Heller, who I love, I want him to hop on here and I want them to ask that same question to Rick. What do you think about that?
There you go.
Hey,
I love it.
Talk about that. I was at the game yesterday. He only used 2 pitchers.
He did.
So the first pitcher gave up 4 in the first inning, and he pitched 4 innings, and they brought in the second pitcher who finished the game. He only gave up 1 run, and or 2 runs. But yeah, he only used 2 pitchers. So, but no, this is that was a great answer, Coach, because that's how I watch games. So I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this is different. He's already taken her out, and so that's how I was just watching games differently. So I love that answer. Now I know, which I think is pretty cool that you would use more pitchers.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then the second piece is kind of leveraging the matchups, right? Like the lefty righty splits and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, we'll send this pitcher the second trip into the lineup. But when we get to this spot, we'd like to make a change. Or we get to this spot and we feel like, whoa, they're really on the changeup, or they're really on the rise ball, which is their best pitch. And when they stop missing underneath the ball and they start getting on top of the ball, then they've made the adjustment and it's time. So those are some of the in-game decisions that kind of lend to it as we go. But yeah, that's the way we do it. And I'll say this, there's still a little bit of like just nationally pushback. I mean, I can remember watching the World Series, in the last 5-6 years, and the commentators are saying, what happened to put your best pitcher out on the mound and leave him out there? What happened to that? And it's like they're just second questioning these coaches that are at the World Series. They're at the World Series for a reason. They're good at what they do. So there's kind of been some like national pushback on this, I think, just because it's different from what used to be, but the hitting is so much better. Everybody's got to get used to it. And I also think like the switch is happening nationally. It's just some are maybe a little slower to get to it. But I mean, you look across anybody's stat sheet, all of a sudden the days of 1 to 2 pitchers being used, now everybody's got 3, 4, 5, 6. And a lot of staffs have almost equal innings between a lot of those 6 arms. And that is not something that you saw 10 years ago. So softball is moving that direction. We're all being forced to move in that direction because of the quality of the offense. This is one of my favorite topics. So I'm so glad you asked. I'll stop talking because I know there's other things that people want to hear about.
Hey,
don't ever stop talking.
Okay.
To be honest with you, Coach, you and I could talk to you for 2 hours. I'm trying not to. If you would see all the questions that I have, Dean would kill me if we went through all of them. But so
what I want to do,
you don't have to stop talking.
We got some comments and questions here, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. Kelvin Fisher says, thank you for coming back home to Iowa. Terry Walker, who left the show all of a sudden, said, sorry I had to leave so sudden. Again, thank you, Coach Johnson, for your time. If available, I would love to have you as a guest on another show someday if you're interested. Toll House, who's a regular on this show. I'm just going to go to the last line because his comments have been pretty much already commented on. He would like to know a little bit about the state of high schools girls softball in Iowa as compared to the neighbors like Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska? What you think?
Well, I don't attend a bunch of high school games for those surrounding states because they play in the spring and we play in the
Okay.
summer. I know the athletes, I know the players, but I follow them in club ball. I can't really speak to the quality of high school ball as a whole. What I can tell you is that there is significant talent coming out of the Midwestern states. Can I say that, 1 through 12, a Minnesota high school team is as good as Iowa? I really don't know. I really don't. But what I can tell you is those top end talents out of Minnesota, they're good. The top end talents out of Nebraska are good. Obviously, Illinois is a population, and so there's tremendous talent coming out of Illinois just based upon population. And Missouri as well. There's a ton of athletes that are very, very good in the Big Ten and the Power Four beyond from this part of the country. And we believe that, it's not that I'm not saying we'll never go to California. We'll go to California. We're out there. We're recruiting. But what we've talked about is we do not want to go to California for pretty good because we can find pretty good elsewhere closer to home. If we're going to go far out of our region, we want to make sure it's either it's pitching or it's really somebody that brings something spectacular to the table that we're not finding for whatever reason in that class in this area. We like this region a lot. It's producing a lot of very good, very physical softball players.
Okay. Alrighty. Speaking of not recruiting, I'm going to switch the subject a little bit. Who are some of the top people that you've got coming back for next season that you're excited about having back? Maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't want to get any players watching this hurt feelings if you don't mention their names. But I mean, who are some of the people coming back that for next year that's going to help this team really take the next step?
Well, I'm going to be a bit general with it because we had so much young talent. I mean, so much young talent. Our freshman class was tremendous. Our sophomore class was pretty darn good. I'll highlight a junior returning senior in Devin Simon, lead off and stole 20 bases, played a pretty rangy center field. I'll highlight her. She's an Iowa kid and she's a Hawkeye through and through. And so, I'll mention her, but gosh, I honestly, I can go around the field and tell you about especially the freshmen and the sophomores and I mean, but I don't want to just stop there either because we're fortunate that we do return a lot of talent. And one of the nice things about this year was the number of innings that we got our freshman pitchers at bats that our freshman hitters were able to get. That's a big deal. And you saw real good flashes from those freshmen and those sophomores, are really good flashes. And so that I feel that's a good sign when a young player has a stretch of the season where they're really, really good. That's always a good sign because then it's just about finding that consistently. And so we've got some pieces there, but Mariah Myers at first base did a really good job. Phoenix Silva, I think probably pencils in at third base in a year. We got to see, she's got to go earn the spot, but she can hit and she's really gotten pretty good defensively. Kiara Sipe swung the bat really well at second base. Leah McAnally was solid in the 4-hole. And then, I didn't play every game, but kind of catcher. So I don't know. I could just go Mac Lightkin left field. She probably put up the best numbers of any freshman. You go around the field. There's some really, really good pieces. And obviously our freshman pitchers, our Iowa kids, Braylon Conlon and Carly Brewer, got really, really significant innings. Carly came in as a strike thrower, high velo. She's going to do nothing but get better. And then Braylon Conlon was very, very effective, just at times needed to throw more strikes, but very effective. So, man, I think that's always a good sign when you can have really good freshman pitchers because a lot of freshmen, they're just not ready at all. And those guys, they may not have been perfect, but they were ready.
Okay. All right.
How do you
go ahead,
about,
Jason?
I don't know if I should ask. I don't want to but like Avery Sapp, I felt like she was looking pretty good as a pitcher. Is that like, is she, what class is she in? I guess was she?
She's a junior. She'll be a senior.
She'll be a
I'll talk about
senior.
Avery Sapp. I think Avery Sapp's got a real chance. She's got a
Okay.
real chance. I mean, she it wasn't consistent, but there were games where she was hitting 70, 71. Her changeup's elite. Her rise ball started to find some movement that wasn't there before. And you saw it. There were flashes of it.
Yeah.
So she's just got to put it all together, because I mean, I don't think, to me, with everything that she has, I mean, she's got the experience, she's got the stuff. If she can start to just find the strike zone, not just the strike zone, but hit spots, then I think there's a great chance that she's our number one, and maybe even our clear and away number one this next year. At 70 miles an hour with that changeup, hit some spots. Yeah, she's going to be good. So, she's just got to keep working, keep getting better. And she knows that. She understands what her ceiling is. And that's kind of an exciting piece.
Right. Basically, consistency is what you're looking for. Totally.
Yeah. She just had times where, like, she was missing, and her misses weren't necessarily around the zone. They were big misses. And, relief wasn't always reliable. Quality of the pitcher is there. It's there. It's not like, oh, she's bad and we'll just put her in and she's going to get shelled and she's not good. It's not that. She's a good pitcher. She's a good player. She's just got to get in there and be more consistent.
More consistent with it.
Toll House would like to know about Arlette. I'm bad at names. Kara Vecchia.
Yeah, I can't really
play in Florida and kind of wanted to know what her future looked like.
Yeah, I can't really speak to a ton of individual players, so I'm not really going to be able to answer that question. But
okay, that's
yeah,
fine.
She's a good athlete. She's a good athlete, and I think highly of Arlette.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, any other questions like that we ask that you don't feel like you can answer, just we understand. Just don't, just let us know.
Sure.
That's why I always say I don't know how much you can say, but I'm gonna ask it. But I want to get to more of your coaching, though. Like, I felt like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you like to steal a lot of bases, like putting pressure on the catcher. I could be wrong if that's your style, but what do you emphasize in practice? Do you like to steal bases? Is that something you work on? Like,
yeah,
as far as that's part of your strategy?
Yeah, it's personnel based. If you don't have if you don't have the right personnel outside of a first third, I think first thirds are kind of a different topic. We steal a lot in first thirds. If you don't have the right personnel, then you can't. But we plan to acquire the right personnel, and then we train them. A lot of our steals are reads. I'd say the vast majority of Devin Simon's steals are reads. We've just taught her just how technically to get herself into position, and then she's got to read what she's looking for out of the hand, and if it's the right pitch to run on. And she's obviously very good at it. As I mentioned, I'm not really calling steals with her. We've just trained her to be able to look for it. So, so that's. Yeah, she does. Yeah. There's a couple situations where she knows she can't, but by and large, she just has the green light. And, but it's not every pitch. If the pitch is right here on the catcher, no, I mean, that's not the green light. You don't have the green light on that. You have the green light on the stuff that's going to challenge the catcher. And she's obviously very good at reading it and beats it out all the time. So if you remove her, and then I think Bree Caffrey, who came off the bench, played some left field, did some pinch running. She's probably the fastest athlete on the team. She also has the green light. She's just working on getting her reads there. So we have two that right now I would say, yeah, these are like green light athletes. And then we have a few that I think if their reads could improve, then they'd get a little bit more of a yellow light, but we're working on that. And then we have a few that let's not,
just stay on first.
Let's just stay there.
Just wait.
So to answer your question, yes, it is part of our philosophy. It's highly personnel based. We always want to have a presence in the lineup. Just even if it's one, but one 2, 3. If we can get that number to 4 or 6, now you got something really special going on from a base stealing perspective.
Right.
But we always want that presence in our lineup. And then I think first thirds it's just low hanging fruit. You don't have to have top end speed to leverage first thirds, because at the end of the day, they can't cover everything. They have to pick what they want to cover, and we're going to try to exploit what they don't cover. And we usually get to a point in the season where most of the time people just stop throwing down to second because we score so many runs on it. And it's just at some point they're like, it's just not worth the risk. We're just gonna concede the base.
Yeah.
We actually had a lot of teams play pretty aggressively on us down the stretch this year, which was surprising. We were still scoring runs late in the season because they were willing to take risk on that throwdown. But obviously that worked out for the most part. If you watched all of our games, then we scored a lot of runs on first thirds.
Right. That was so. Is that who is your pitching coach? Like, do you have a pitching coach, or is it Alvaro? How do you say?
Yeah, Bobby Alvaro. Yeah,
Alvaro. Yeah, he's your pitching coach. Now, does he make decisions on pitchers on game day, or is that your choice, your decision?
We work together. At the end of the day, it's my decision, but we work together. Obviously, his input is very valuable and really important. He's got insights about them individually that he's in the bullpen with them all the time. So but he and I kind of work together to make those decisions.
You got anything, Dean?
I'm going to just defer to you because you said you had all these questions. So I've got a couple more questions, but I'm not going to ask them just yet. I want to save them.
In the real world, I have a type A personality, so I try not to just take over things when I'm doing this. So Dean already knows that. Dean's used to it, but I just wanted to make sure I went to Dean. Which part about this team next year are you excited about, as far as development-wise of your players? Is there a certain area that you're excited that you're already excelling in, that you feel like next year you could take a huge jump in, or is it just a process on everything, hitting, pitching, everything?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's a little bit of both. I think when you say, what are you really excited about this next year? I am excited for our young athletes to be 1 year older. That will make all the difference. And they will start to, instead of having flashes, be just really good players all the time. That's what the jump from freshman to sophomore to junior becomes. There's a lot of really, really good players in baseball and softball that they're good. They're just not ready, or they're not ready. They're ready, but they're not ready to do this. They're not ready to win at this level. They can win, but They can't win at this level. And so when we talk about our underclassmen being a year older, all of that just kicks up, ready to hit. Now we're ready to hit at a really high level. We're ready to pitch. Now we're ready to win at a really high level. So I'd say that's the thing I'm most excited about. The second piece I would say is, when you come in, you take over a program, and obviously, much of the roster scattered. Some of it stayed, which was great, but much of the roster scattered, and you're bringing in new athletes from all over the place, and you got to try to figure out. When we walked in, we didn't know who our starting shortstop was. We had no idea what our lineup was going to be. We weren't sure what we were going to get out of our pitching staff. There was just a lot of I don't know. We got to go play some games and figure it out. And so this year, as we approach the portal and approach next fall from a training perspective, we have very clear and consistent ways that we know we can get better. Hey, we've got to get a little bit cleaner at this position. We've got to get a little bit faster at that position. We need this pitcher to be able to establish this part of the zone more consistently. And then we go to work on it in the fall. And we add athletes that contribute to the things that we need to get a little bit better at in the transfer portal. And so instead of this grab and go, let's backfill the roster approach, we get to be very, very pointed in what we recruit and what we train in a way that we know that those things will specifically lend to us winning more games. So I would say our younger players getting older, and I would say a much more appointed approach at what we need to improve on.
That was a great answer too. How do you feel? This one's about me. Okay, because I'm from the football side of the world. I do want to ask you this. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. Um, how do you feel like? Do you take emails from other coaches across the country saying, "Hey, you got to look at this kid," like especially in-state athletes? I'm sure you've probably gotten emails from coaches saying, "I have a player you might want to take a look at." You take that advice because on the football side, some coaches do, but then you also have some just, I guess, no other word, but arrogant football coaches and say, "Well, if we choose to, we're gonna come, but we're not gonna." Like, they're just kind of rude about it. Where some coaches take that input, and say, "Yeah, we might take a look." I'm just curious how
Yeah,
you.
for sure. No, yeah, I think the answer is yes. We're definitely listening. Now, do we listen to all opinions equally? No. I mean,
No,
there's people I trust. And
Yeah.
when somebody I trust calls me and says, "Hey, you got to look at this kid," it's happening, And then there's other people, I may not know them. And I'm like, ooh, it doesn't mean I don't listen, but it's like, oh, I got to get out and watch this young lady. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try to get there. But if I can't get there, I can't get there. I'm not going to rearrange my schedule for this person that I don't know.
Right.
But there's people that I have that I will rearrange my schedule because they're right. When they tell me, they're always right. And so we got to go. We got to go. And so I think credibility is established. I think that recruiting is about relationships. And so, that's it. I mean, we have pipelines for a reason, because when this connection leads to an athlete coming who does really well, they're a good culture fit, all of those things line up, it makes me want to go back to that person. And that's how you establish a pipeline. And so we're about the relationships. We are very intentional about, if I have a reason to call a coach, even if it's a very small reason, I'll usually just make the phone call because I want the relationship. I want a reason to get on the phone with you and just to keep us in your mind, and vice versa. They see that as a benefit to them as well, of like, hey, this coach is always calling me and asking me what I think about this, and if I have anybody they should watch or whatever. Well, guess who gets that first phone call when they have something they really think is good? Well, it's that the relationship coach. And so we invest in all that. That was a long answer, but hey, we have
I love your long answers, but yeah,
we learn a lot 100. By listening to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. But like the ones that you're not going to change your schedule for, but they can send you video and you might watch the video of them, right? I mean,
yep.
Yeah, that. You got anything?
I want to piggyback off that question real quick. Or is it like a singer who goes to a record producer or a singer and says, "Here's my tape, please listen." Tape goes in a pile somewhere or in the garbage.
Well, that's a good question. You do have to get through the madness, because if I got 52 emails that day, I didn't watch 52 videos. I can tell you that. And so you can get mad at the record producer, but like the reality is that there's only so many hours in the day. And so you do have to cut through the white noise somehow. And that's where these people that we trust are so valuable, because they help us cut through the white noise. I can't watch 52 videos in a day. So if I'm going to watch 4, which ones am I going to watch? Well, they help me with that. So, I mean, there's enough white noise that there's some truth to what you're saying, but we also have to work, and if, let's say that there's a school out there, and no names, but let's say there's a school out there that they're financially resourced at an incredible level to be able to do anything they want with, and they can get any athlete they want, or at least get in the conversation with any athlete in the entire country. And they may not have to pedal. They may not have to work. They may not have to watch tape and watch film, but that's not what the University of Iowa is. And that doesn't mean we're doing just fine. We're well resourced and we've got wonderful facilities and lots of pros here, but we're not that, Yeah. And so we need people that want to grind. We need coaches and athletes that want to grind, that want to work. The coaches that are going to say, well, I can't watch 52, but I'm going to watch 4. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do my work, and it's going to pay off, because when we work hard, we're going to get better players for it. It's going to pay off. And I think that's what makes, as just a holistic thing. That's what makes this place a good fit for me. Is I don't need to be that. I don't really want to be that. I don't like all the baggage that comes with that. I want to coach. I want to work hard. I want my hard work to pay off, just like our athletes. And so, hey, University of Iowa has been a great fit for me as an athlete, as an assistant coach, and now as a head coach. This place fits me just fine. I like who we are. I like what we do.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds
All
like
right.
that's kind of a culture you're trying to build there, and I'm guessing that you vet a lot of players before you actually offer them to come to the University of Iowa.
Absolutely.
Right.
You got to get the right people.
Yeah, I'm starting to love you, Coach. Okay, now my next. So, what is it that you look for? Okay, football coaches will, if from small towns, they'll like to take the quarterback because most of the time, the best athlete on a team is a quarterback. Whether or not you make him a linebacker, you make him a wide receiver at the next level. What is it that you look for when you're recruiting girls?
Yeah, that's a great question. Position players, we look for athletes that can hit. And then, they have to fit somewhere defensively because defense is really, really important to me. And so I'm with you. They may be a pitcher in high school and they may not be even close to a pitcher for us, but hey, she runs like the wind. Well, that screams outfield. Let's put her in the outfield. Infield is a little bit harder, right? It's hard to move an outfielder into the infield. That's not as much of a thing. So we will take our spots where we're going to go get a highly skilled infielder, and that may or may not be from Iowa. Just a kid that can flat out handle the glove and defend. That's a spot where I do like the West Coast for. They play year round. They're not multi-sport athletes. They may not be as athletic, but they're cleaner at times with the glove. And so that might be a spot where we might go out of our region to find that. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is athletes that can hit, and we're always going to figure out how to be good on defense.
What is it that you? I feel like I'm just rocket firing questions at you, but I do have a lot. I apologize. We can end this whenever you want. But
hey, I committed. I'm all in for an hour. How about that?
There we go. We got 13 minutes of rocket fire. What is it that you look for in like your leaders? Do you let the team like choose who their leaders are, kind of like a vote type of deal? Or do you like look for certain things that, like these ladies are following her, like she's got some good leader skills?
We've handled that differently over the years. Sometimes we've appointed captains. Other times we've kind of let it happen organically. We will always push our seniors, always equip our seniors. And there's some things that'll happen behind the scenes where it may be, we need to develop leaders. We can't just expect them to be good at it with no understanding of what it means. And so there may be a conversation that happens in the office where we're just equipping them to like, hey, this was a difficult situation. Here's something that you could have done to maybe make it go a little bit better. Or, hey, this is what this group of athletes is going to need this year. And so be intentional about doing this and this and this. And so we definitely equip our seniors in particular. And then as far as like, how a captain, I mean, well, that's group to group. I think sometimes it's really obvious the way to do it. I think other times you have to let things kind of like roll out organically to see what is going to be the right decision for that team, because you don't want to name a captain in August and regret it in February, and so we just have to be thoughtful and intentional and understand the whole picture before we make decisions on things like that. But we're always equipping, always equipping them for whatever comes for them, whatever's put before them.
Okay, can I read a couple more comments real quick before we move on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Toll House says, I rooted for your teams when you came to Reno, and I'm looking forward to your continued success. Go Hawks. And Terry says, I will root for Iowa, especially against the Trojans. Go Hawkeyes. And he says also against Iowa State.
Very good. Yeah, I'm rooting for Iowa too.
Me too.
Going back to your West Coast thing, it just popped in my mind. If you look at the Big Ten tournament here, you got Washington, USC, UCLA, Oregon. They're all in the Big Ten tournament from the West Coast. Every one of those teams made the tournament. So you're on to something with the West Coast playing all year round.
Yeah. No, they've got a good ball out there. They do.
To go off of the previous question though, like with the way everybody talks about today's kids, so like if you try to hold them accountable, sometimes they go a different route. So like, how do you balance between accountability and encouragement? To kind of say like what you were talking about, the leadership, you just kind of let. But how do you balance? Like, okay, do this, but you know the kid's personality, if they can handle like you getting on them, or if you sit back and you're like, okay, you can't really do that. You're all nicer about how you deal with that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, you do handle different people differently because they're going to respond to different things. So no question there. Regarding the topic of accountability, I think the most powerful thing that I can do as a coach, and I will say that when I haven't done this, that's where I think the water gets murky. But the most powerful thing I can do as a coach is create a clear standard. If I create a clear standard, then we have something to talk about. Well, the standard is that you do this. You meet the mark or you don't meet the mark. And then we have a conversation, and that's coaching about why we didn't meet the mark or what we need to do to meet the mark, right? But like without the standard, what are we shooting for? What are we doing? And I think that as I've kind of gone down the road in coaching, it's almost like in many respects, my quest has been to figure out how to create as many clear standards in as many areas as possible. We want to be good bunters. Good bunters. What does it mean to be a good bunter? What does that mean? Are we meeting the standard? And so I think that that's really what this is all about, and what these athletes will respond to is a clear standard of, hey, I'm not meeting the standard. They will understand that, and they will work towards that, and that will modify and motivate their behavior. And then it's not sort of about being nice or being mean or being yelling at them or being not yelling. I mean, there's the standard. You did it or you didn't. Let's figure out how to get there. And I think that creates a much better coaching environment for this student athlete today.
I like that. And you did mention.
Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, no, I could just go. You did mention bunting. I felt like this year, obviously, you didn't do as much in baseball. It's drag bunting. I can't remember what you guys call it.
Bunt for hit.
Yeah, when you run out of the box. Is it like drag bunt the same thing as baseball? I guess I don't.
Well, I mean, I think drag bunt is just like a bunt for a hit, right? I mean, that's what the attempt is. And then, I mean, if you're referring to slapping, that would be a left-handed batter.
Slapping is what I'm referring to. Slapping
but
is what I'm referring to.
You don't have a lot of left-handed batters, so can't run through the box when you're right-handed.
You got me on that one, Coach.
I was just gonna say, when my daughter was in high school playing softball for Highland High School here in Bakersfield, she was a lefty, but she picked up the bat and was naturally hitting and stuff from the right side instead of the left side for whatever reason. But one day the head coach is watching her work out, and he walked up to her and he said, "No, turn around, use your left side, and then we're going to have you bunt." And so they started working on her bunting from the left side of the plate. Well, I guess it's on the right side, but she's a lefty. She was a lefty, so he turned her back around to her natural position, and to her credit, she got a lot of hits that season. So
nice.
I just had to relate that to the bunting thing.
Yeah. It's useful.
I swear I'm not trying to get you in trouble at all, Coach, with your players by making you talk. But how did you handle the adversity you went through this year, as far as with the struggles? Like, you had some highs. You started off season okay, right? And then it just got low when you got to the Big Ten. Like, you didn't do bad, really, before you got to the Big Ten. Obviously, it's different competition and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, how did you handle to keep your team? Because it's a young team. Like, you said, it's a young team. how did you keep them playing? Because they still, to my opinion, they still looked like they were into it, ready to go every game, regardless of what the outcomes were.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think the stretch that you're referring to was like, so I like numbers, right? And so numbers speak to me, and when I understand the numbers, it just helps me like kind of emotionally process everything. And so when I say this, like the stretch you're referring to, the numbers didn't look great. It wasn't a stretch where you're like, hey, there's 8 wins in this 10-win stretch. There weren't 8 wins to be had. Now, there were wins to be had we played a little bit better and closed some games out. And we weren't able to win those games. We just didn't quite have enough. And that's what we're working on building, is figuring out how to close those games out and end up on the right side of them. But I knew going into it, this stretch of games is going to be tough. That's a tough stretch of games. And I mean, I think, on my side, first of all, number one, I imparted excitement to the team about the opportunity to play that stretch of games. It is an opportunity to play that stretch of games. You're probably not going to win them all, okay? But if you can get in there and grab some games, then you've done well and you've propelled the program forward. And those are the wins that matter at the end of the season, is those big ones. When they're looking at the NCAA tournament, that's what they want to see, is those games. And so it wasn't about going in there and being perfect. It was about going in there and figuring out how to grab 1 or 2. And we weren't quite ready to do that this year. We didn't do it, right? And that's essentially why we didn't make the postseason and why we weren't up for consideration for the NCAA tournament. But we were close. And so through that stretch, that was something that we reminded them often. You go back to the Oregon game. We had a 5-run lead in the 7th. We took Washington into the 9th or the 10th inning here at home with multiple opportunities to win it in, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, whatever it was. And we played Nebraska 5-2. We played, I think in the Washington series, we were in 2 of the 3. In the Oregon series, we were in 2 of the 3. In the Nebraska series, we were in 1 of the 3. We had opportunities to win. And so the messaging to the team was often before the game is, we're going to have a chance to win a close one today. Be ready for your moment. It's coming, because we're going to have a chance and it's going to be close and it's going to come down to you. Right. So we prepared them mentally for that. And then we reminded them often that the difference between winning and losing these games was 1 pitch. It was 1 hit. It was 1 great play defensively. That's all it was, because we were in the games. Now the blowouts, sure, that's more than 1 pitch, but we played so many close ones that messaging, it resonated with them. They knew we were close. And so let's just keep working. Let's keep working hard in practice. Let's keep figuring out how to get better. And if we do these things well, then we're going to end up on the right side of these things. And this team had a lot of really, really good moments. Were we ready to win an Addy? No, we weren't. But we had a lot of really, really good moments, and we had a lot of things to build off of, things that will play off into the future and make us a better team this upcoming year and in the years to come.
Okay. Coach, first of all, we're coming up on the hour, so I want to thank you for being here. But I had a final question I wanted to ask you about the Big Ten scheduling, because if I did my math right, you only played 8 teams out of the Big Ten. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any way they can increase that? Because I see an imbalanced schedule where somebody gets an easier schedule for somebody like yourselves, a little bit tougher schedule, to make that more balanced,
In my opinion, until they decide to move our seasons back and take us out of the cold part of the year, my answer is no.
Okay. All righty.
Big Ten can't play softball in February. So
no, I get that. I get that. Midwest February weather is not good.
Yeah, I mean, what? And we sneak an extra. Let's say go from 8 to 9. We sneak it to 9, and then we have an opening series in February in the Midwest. I think that's a bad plan. I think that we need to. I think we need to holistically. The sport needs to move back. We need to get out of February. We need to open up our seasons in March. And I don't know. I mean, this is big topic stuff, but move our seasons back into March and into the early summer. And then it opens up some opportunities for the northern schools to do some things. But with 17 schools in our conference, 17 softball schools in our conference, the schedule will always be imbalanced.
Okay. All righty. Well, I thank you again for coming on. Very insightful with your answers today, and I learned a lot. And thank you, Jason, for all your inside. Well, I don't know how to say it, but your insightful questions. So I appreciate
Thanks,
it, guys.
Coach. I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you. Even though I forgot to ask you the one question I wanted to, how you felt walking into Pearl Field for the first time. I missed that question. You want to take us out with that one?
It felt good. Yeah, no, I love this place. I'm a Hawkeye. I bleed black and gold. It's a real honor to be able to represent this school and lead this program. So yeah, it's a really cool feeling. I'm grateful for this opportunity.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. We appreciate you too.
Take care.